Welcome to the Kill It podcast, where I, Christopher Bob Roberts, explain how I became healthy, wealthy, and happy by being ruthless with my friends, family, customers, and especially myself. And today I'm going to talk about an old Elliot Hulse quote, where he said, "You are going to be brainwashed anyway, so you might as well brainwash yourself into believing something that is going to serve you." Now let's go ahead and break this down, what brainwashing is. Brainwashing is basically implanting a core belief into your mind, into your being. And when I say a core belief, I mean something that you believe so strongly that you do not even consider questioning it. A core belief is something that it's so implanted so deeply in your unconscious mind that you most of the time don't even know that you believe it. Now, the danger, or perhaps the possibility, I guess I was being negative there, the bad or the good thing about a core belief is it is going to shape how you see the world in terms of opportunities and possibilities, and it is also going to determine your actions. So, if you have a core belief that serves you, you are going to see nothing but possibilities. If you have a core belief that serves you, you are going to do nothing but take the actions that are going to make your core belief reality, in this case, a positive reality. Now, like I said, good or bad, because if your core belief is negative, you are going to see nothing but the downside. You are going to be blind to the possibilities, and your actions are going to be those that are going to create this negative reality that you believe is the only reality that exists, at least for you. When I say brainwashing, I also mean it has to be implanted, okay? Because you are not born with a genetic belief. It comes from somewhere. So it needs to be programmed or it needs to be reprogrammed. Now, most people, and I'm a little foggy on the exact dates, but most people's core beliefs come from their childhood. Most of the people's core beliefs come from their parents, or if their parents were less present, then they come from the people they were around. They come from their environment. And like I said, I'm a little foggy on the psychology here, but it's a very young age at which you've basically established your character, your core beliefs, who you believe you are, what you believe the world is, what you believe. And because they're so deeply implanted, you are often not aware of what your core beliefs are unless you go through a process of literally dissecting yourself and your life and your thoughts and your beliefs and finding out what they even are. But it's extremely dangerous because your core beliefs will create the person you become. For instance, if you have core beliefs that are negative, you are not going to see any possibilities. You're always going to see the downside. You're going to literally blind to every single possibility that you are presented with. You are also going to be taking actions that are in alignment with your negative core belief. You are going to be taking actions that are going to make your life worse. Now, on the other hand, if you have a positive core belief, you are going to be blind to the downside. You're not going to consider defeat. You are only going to see the positives. You are only going to see the possibilities around you. And because your core beliefs are positive, you are only going to be taking positive action. So there's no woo-woo here. There's no mysticism. There's no magic. It is just a fact that if you have a negative core belief, you will take actions that will make your life worse. If you have a positive core belief, you will take actions that will make your life better. It's nothing but work. But, like I said, the core beliefs determine the work you are going to do. So, this is very real, and this is absolutely impossible to dismiss or to not believe in. Now, the thing, like I said, is you are going to be brainwashed, because if you do not have certain core beliefs, you will not be able to function in society. I mean, the common example that people talk about is, I don't walk around, being afraid I'm going to fall through the floor, because my core belief is that floors are stable. I can just walk and not worry about falling through the floor. Now, of course, yes, I've been in houses where there is a possibility you're going to fall through the floorboards, or there is a possibility the balcony is going to fall off the building, but you're aware of it when you go in there. In general, my core belief is floors are stable. Okay, I'm not going to fall through the floor. And because of that, I'm able to function as a human being, because I could walk into a room and do what I wanted to do by walking into that room, as opposed to thinking constantly, is the floor going to crush through? I believe it's going to be there. And because of that, I operate as though the floor is going to be there and it's not going to crumble. Now, that's an example, and it's a very real example. But let's get a little bit further, okay? When's the last time that you saw somebody in the fetal position in a corner crying to himself because he didn't have eggs, okay? He ran out of eggs, and now he's crushed and he thinks he's going to die. Now, unless that person is on a serious psychedelic compound, or if that person has a serious mental or emotional issue, you've never seen that. Because the core belief of just about everyone in the world is, I ran out of eggs, get in my car, drive to the store, buy some eggs. That's it. I mean, there's no reason why I need to be concerned, because my core belief is, if I run out of eggs, I just go and get some more eggs, don't I? If I'm in a situation where, let's say, I moved, okay, or I'm on vacation and I don't know where to get eggs from, well, these days I just take out my phone and I look up in the navigation system, supermarket. And I do what the little guy inside of my phone says, and I end up at the supermarket. I buy some eggs. I didn't know where the eggs were, but once again, I didn't end up in the fetal position crying to myself saying, I don't know where I could buy eggs. I don't know where I could buy eggs. I moved and now everything's different. I don't know where I could buy eggs. Oh my God. Because my core belief is, okay, I ran out of eggs. Let me go get some eggs. Okay, I'm in a new environment. Let me figure out where there are eggs. I'll go there and I'll buy some eggs. You don't even question it. You don't think about it. You don't get concerned. You don't feel emotional in any way. Now, I know that sounds stupid to a lot of people, but that's because you're not thinking very far. Why is it that if you want to make money, like serious money, why is it that if you want to move somewhere else where you would be happier, why is it that if you want to have a relationship that you design, like with a person you really like, and create a life you really want to have? Why is it that if you want to get in shape, why is it that if you want to learn a martial art, a musical instrument, a sport, a skill, a hobby, some type of art, why is it you do not have the same core belief that you do when you don't have eggs, or when you do not know how to get eggs? I just get up, get some eggs. I don't know where the eggs are. I figure out where the eggs are, I go there and I get eggs. Not even a consideration. It's not even worth a discussion. You just say, I'm getting eggs. And you do it. But if you have a person who is very overweight, if you have a person who is very small, like lean, like not a lot of muscle, if you have a person who has never learned a foreign language, if you have a person who has never been in a decent relationship, their core belief is not that they can just get a great girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. They can just put on 10 pounds of muscle or drop 10 pounds of fat, or they can make $10 million the same way that they can go out and get eggs, because their core belief is not that they can just do that. You see this a lot of times in people. You'll see guys who are in incredible shape and broke, guys who have a lot of money, but they're in horrible shape, because they have a core belief that if I want to make money, all I do is just go ahead and make money. And if I don't know how to make money, I just figure it out and then I go ahead and I make money. And then you tell them, well, why don't you get in shape? And then it's like, well, I could never get in shape. If you tell them to make another $100 million, they would just get up and make $100 million. And if they didn't know how, they'd figure it out. But if you tell them to lose 10 pounds, they'd say, I'm not the kind of person. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. Or they'd say, I don't know how to do it. I wouldn't know the first thing. Well, going to YouTube, going to Google would probably be a good first thing if you don't know how to lose weight. Okay? Like, they don't even try because their core belief is, I can make any amount of money at any point, and if I don't know how, I'll figure it out. But when it comes to fitness, I am not in shape. Okay? At the same time, like I said, you have guys who are in incredible physical condition. Like, you could literally break their legs. They could be in a bed for, 6 months, 8 months, a year. They could gain fat. They could lose muscle. As soon as they heal up, they jump up out of bed, boom, immediately hit the gym, boom, immediately hit the kitchen, start eating right, and they lose all the fat and they build up all the muscle right again. Because their core belief is that they're fit, that's what they do. They know exactly how to do it. If they're trying to do something else, they'll figure it out. But the same people never make money. I'm going to give you another example. There were kids when I was in high school. I was like trying to figure out, like, how do you get a job? I have no idea how to do this job thing. And there were kids that would just like go out and get a job. They just go out in the afternoon and they'd go from here and here and here and here and here. And they go ahead and they just start, they'd find a job. They'd go to a couple different places and at some point be like, yeah, I need somebody to, carry boxes around in the back room, or I need somebody to bus tables, or I need somebody to do this or do that, bag groceries, whatever. They'd get it. Now, how come those same people aren't multimillionaires? And I'll give you an example of that. Okay. Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. Okay. He was talking about when he went to college, like, I guess it was after high school or during high school. When he was, pre-college, he basically walked around on the beach in the summer. He carried a big, cooler full of like ice cream and, soda and water. That was all cool. And basically the idea was he bought it for, 50 cents, let's say. And he would just walk along the beach. Hey, got some cold water, got some soda, got some ice cream here. And people who would rather spend the money than get up and walk all the way over to the next store to buy something, like, yeah, here, what is it? What do you want? $1, $2? So he would sell his, I'm just making this up, but 50-cent, candy bar or 50-cent ice cream, water, or soda, whatever, for $2. And now he's made 4 times his money. He just went ahead and did it. Then after that, he ended up, quitting school, yada, yada. He ended up, looking for a job. So he went door to door for a company selling meat. Hey, you want any steaks? You want this? You want this? He would just go ahead door to door and sell meat. He ended up getting in trouble because of, what he did with his finances. Everybody's seen Wolf of Wall Street. There was a point, I think it was after he was basically like convicted, but he didn't go to jail yet. But at some point when the mortgage rates changed, there was a huge opportunity for people to sell mortgage refinances. He would just go up to businesses, because business owners obviously had a lot of money. So they probably had, houses, and they were probably paying them off. And it was probably a lot of money they were paying. And he'd be like, hey, what are you paying your mortgage? So it's, oh my God, come on now. Here, sign this piece of paper. Let's cut that in half. And every time that he refinanced someone's mortgage, he would make a cut of the money the mortgage company was making. Literally all he would do. When he was a kid, he'd walk around selling 50-cent ice cream and sodas for, $1, $2. And when he was in his, 30s, 40s, he would just walk around selling mortgage refinances. Why is it that some kid could believe he could get a job bussing tables or bagging groceries? I'm just going to go out and walk around and eventually I'm going to find a job. But he can't think the same way that Jordan Belfort does, where it's like, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to, refinance multi-million-dollar homes. I'm just going to go ahead and this street has a bunch of jewelers and a bunch of, rich business owners. I'm going to go find the owner of the business. I'm going to ask him what he's paying on his mortgage. I'm going to tell him I can get a better deal. And I'm going to make a massive profit. And he just go ahead and just make thousands of thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars every day just doing that. Because if you ask Jordan Belfort, and I've actually seen him say this in videos, he has this belief that if he doesn't make at least $1 or $2 million a year, he panics. He's like, oh my God, something's going wrong. What's going on here? I need to figure out why I'm not making this money and figure out how to fix it so I start making at least $1 or $2 million this year. That's his core belief. On the other hand, there are people who their core belief is they are only going to have a minimum wage paying job. And if they were to lose their minimum wage paying job, they'd get one right the next day because they are minimum wage workers. They'd be like, hey, I lost my job, but I'm not worried because, within a day or two, I know I'm going to get one. I'm just going to start calling their friends. Hey, man, can you get me in where you're working? Oh, hey, man, weren't you saying they were looking for people over here? Or, hey, don't you know somebody who needs somebody? And they would just boom, 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 because they have a core belief that on one hand, they deserve a minimum wage paying job. They're never going to be without work. On the other hand, they unfortunately also believe they can only do a minimum wage paying job. I was in Germany working for a German company. One of the guys that worked for me was an American. I'm talking to him, and every time I talked to him, he was talking about how unhappy he was with his wife. And I remember, I actually, drove him home a couple of days. His car wasn't working, whatever. So I drove him. He said, come on, let's grab a cup of coffee and hang out a bit. Okay, cool. And I walked in. She was weird. I could tell, she was just really weird person. So I knew and I knew him. I knew he was a decent guy. And I'm like, dude, why don't you, change things? Why don't you end this? Why don't you get somebody else? And he looks at me and he's like, honestly, at my age, I really don't think I could find somebody else. He's probably at least 10 years younger than I am now, but the fact remains that was his core belief. So basically, like I said, what I'm saying is your core belief affects all the opportunities you see. Your core belief affects all the actions that you take. If your core belief is that you have a minimum wage paying job, you will be blind to every opportunity to get more than a minimum wage paying job. Every educational opportunity, every business opportunity, you're going to be blind to everything. You're just going to have your minimum wage paying job, and that's all you're going to see. And because that's where your thoughts go, that's where your attention goes, and you don't even see the opportunities, you're not going to take any actions that will change anything. You're just going to take the actions of going back to your minimum wage paying job. And if it goes away, you're suddenly going to see opportunities. But once again, only opportunities to get another minimum wage paying job. And you're going to take actions to get you another minimum wage paying job. Whereas, like I said, Jordan Belfort, all he sees are the possibilities to make $1 or $2 million minimum every year. And if he were for some reason to lose his current source of money, he would go ahead and he would see nothing but opportunities to make $1 or $2 million a year. He would be as blind to the minimum wage paying jobs as the minimum wage paying job believer would be blind to the chances to make real money. And like I said, just like the minimum wage guy is going to take actions that are going to get him another minimum wage paying job, Jordan Belfort would take actions that would get him another $1 or $2 million a year. Because the core belief that Jordan Belfort has is he is someone who makes $1 to $2 million a year minimum. And the minimum wage paying job guy, he has the core belief that he has a minimum wage paying job. He's never going to be without a job, but he's never going to make more than minimum wage. And that's the reason why they're at where they're at. And say the same thing to, I've spoken about this before, the woman who gets beaten or badly treated by every single guy she's with has a different core belief than the woman who is showered with gold and diamonds by every guy that she's with. They have core beliefs that affects the way that they act, that affects the people that they see. You could take one woman, walk her through Manhattan, and all she would see are bums who are going to treat her like crap. And you could take the other woman, you could walk her through any town in the world, and she would only see the guys who have a lot of money and who are going to spend it on her because she believes that she's worth it. And the other girl believes that she isn't worth it. You've got the guy who gets cheated on by every single girl he's with because those are the only women he sees. And because the only actions he takes are to attract the women who are going to cheat on him all the time. And he takes actions that are going to inspire them to cheat on him. If you have a guy who's, just gets up and just makes $1 million, if he doesn't know how he's going to figure it out, but he can't get in shape. And then you have the other guy who's always in shape, but he can't figure out how to get his money right. So at the end of the day, what we're really talking about is, like I said, you do have core beliefs. They will affect everything you see, everything you don't see in terms of opportunities, in terms of upsides, in terms of downsides. And they will affect your actions because your actions will only take you towards making your core beliefs your reality. And they come from somewhere, which means, like old Elliot Hull says, to bring this full circle, if you do not brainwash yourself into believing something that's actually going to serve you, someone else is going to brainwash you into believing something that's going to serve them. So you really need to look at your life. It's impossible to look at your beliefs. It's impossible to see what your beliefs are, but you need to look at your life, all the good, all the bad, health, wealth, and relationships in every aspect of your life. And then by looking at your life, by looking at the results of your beliefs, you'll have the opportunity to reverse engineer what your beliefs are. And then by reverse engineering what your beliefs are, you can go ahead and say, okay, now it's time for me to brainwash myself. What life do I want to have? What life do I want to have? What's it going to look like? What person am I going to be? And then the question is, how do you brainwash yourself into believing you're the person with the life you want to be? Because, like I said, health, wealth, and relationships, if you know exactly what you want your life to be like in all areas, the person you want to be, then you can figure out the beliefs you have to have in order to have that life, in order to be that person. And once you take on those beliefs, then you're going to just see positives. You're not going to see the downsides. You're not going to be afraid of what goes wrong because you're going to be blind to it. All you're going to see are possibilities, positives, upsides, and the only actions you are going to take are going to be the actions that are going to take you closer to the person that you believe yourself to be with a life you believe you deserve. So, make sure you go to ChristopherBobRoberts.com, where you will find a link to every platform on which the Kill It podcast can be found, as well as links to my group coaching program, an application for my one-on-one coaching, and links to all my other social media. Don't forget to subscribe to the Kill It podcast wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts, so you'll receive a notification every Monday when the new episode comes out. Aside from that, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys again in the next episode.